Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We will go ahead and continue our Board of Education business meeting for December 14th, 2023. We have some students here from Wyland and Prax to come forward to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Oh no, you have to come forward. Come up here. Come on.
Right up here, guys. Thanks for coming.
They're all
You
taller
face
than
the
me.
flag right here. Everybody face the flag. Okay, so you all can lead us. You can put your hands on your hearts if you wish. On the count of three. The flag is right that way. 1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job, guys. Thank you. What's your name? How you doing, Colton? What's your name? Hey, Joseph. What's your name? Jimmy. Thank you, Linda.
And here you go. I think I have some friends back here. Anybody else? Move on to 3.2, our School of the Month. We have Prax. So you all can come forward to do your presentation for the school. All right, Joseph.
All right, well, good evening.
Good evening.
All right, come on up here. So we are so excited tonight to share with you the exciting things that are happening at Kratz. Tonight we have our first grade team here, Melanie West, Kyla Gersten, Candace Hayes, Jenna Hudson, and Nicole DeMasso, as well as our assistant principal, Karen Lugauser. And then a bunch of first grade students. So we have Colton Stafford Ashby, Joseph Zavala, Layla Brown, and Miranda Colvin. And we're here to talk about our differentiated math groups that we have. And so that connects to our Ritenour vision, and that we are always aiming for academic excellence.
It also connects with the Ritenour mission statement because we are really working hard at providing that supportive environment to enable every kiddo exactly what they need, and helping them be problem solvers and critical thinkers. Also connects with our equity statement at Ritenour because the kiddos are getting exactly what they need, and all the resources are being allocated, all the resources in this team are being allocated to support what each student needs individually.
So we are talking about our how we're using our proficiency scales in the first grade in our math curriculum. We've been using our proficiency scales to encompass our competency-based learning and using it really to intentionally plan for our whole grade math instruction as well as our math groups that we've been doing, which we're going to talk about today, and really helping meet students where they are. So this is what our first grade math progression looks like. And this is what we show our students at the beginning of every math lesson as well. The yellow highlighted is what we just finished and what we're talking about today. We just finished working on subtraction within 20. And so we show this to the students and say this is what we've worked on so far, and this is what we're going to be working on next. And then this is what our scale looks like. And then this is what we show students as well, of what the scale looks like in the student-facing way. And they know what all of this means, that the 2.0 is the foundational level skills. which help build us to the 3.0, which is where we are able to do it on our own, ride the bike on our own, to potentially get to a 4.0 as well. And our math instruction for a 3.0 is our whole group instruction, and then the 2.0 is where we focus more on our small group instruction.
Thank you. And so what we have found, the benefits are the collaboration and discussions that we have about this implementation. We have found that it's kind of streamlined our instruction and that there's uniformity in our implementation. So what we do is we take a grade level pre-assessment based on the scale. And the way it's been set up so far is that we have, so there are 5 teachers. One of us has a group of students that are working on those foundational skills, that number sense. One group that has shown some understanding of the scale but needs more repetitive practice, and so is able to do that on those Tuesdays and Thursdays. 2 classes that are just working right there along on that 3.0 scale, and then a group that has shown mastery of the 3.0 scale, so they go to a group where they either extend their instruction onto the next scale, or they use that that scale in a challenge activity, so in a different way. And so this is an example of a warm-up that we will all do at the same time. So this gives vocabulary that we're all using. And then we do a body break, like a body movement, but we're working still on the skill. Yeah, you like this one, Joseph? I see your smile. This is counting backwards, so counting back from 20. And then I do believe I'm passing it on to Ms. Hayes. She's going to talk about our groups individually.
Yeah, so in our differentiated math group, students come from their classroom and they go to their designated group. In the group, we do a common warm-up, which Ms. West just stated. We'll either count to 150 or count down. Each class has an activity that is tailored specific to that group based off of where the students are on the scale, what they're learning on the scale. Each block is a 40-minute block, so that's twice a week they get 40 minutes of that. And they receive instruction as right for their zone of proximal development. In my classroom, students are working on number identification and the 15 numbers, and we kind of practice skills where we do like a game where it's roll and record, using 10 frames and various strategies to count and add and subtract within 20. I'm going to pass it over to myself.
Okay, so in my class, we're working on those repetitive 2.0 skills. And so in this example here, the kids are working on 10 frames, so they can show me that they can model subtraction on 10 frames, which is a foundational 2.0 skill. And so in my classroom, I'm basically just offering that extra practice that the kids need, some more repetitive practice to get them to be fluid and move to the next group. So now I'm passing it on
Back to me.
Back to us.
All right, so Ms. Gerson and I both have the groups that are kind of working along with the classwork. And so you'll see in for this example, for this lesson, we started off with so an game called I Have, Who Has. And this game is really supposed to build math discourse between the children. And we flip to the next picture just to show. So we are meeting on the carpet and trying to, yeah. This is, yeah. And so we played this game, and they're working on those skills to make it more automatic. So the mental math, and then what we do is we take this. So this was just kind of our warm up, and then what we do is we build up to those 3.0 skills.
Yes, and then in both of our groups we work on those 3.0 skills, which in this scale is using our foundational subtraction skills to solve word problems, and then choosing a strategy to solve word problems. So this is an example of something that we've done to build that foundational level and then work up to that 3.0 in our classrooms. And I'm going to pass it to Ms. Hudson.
So in my group, we will do similar stuff to the 3.0. We will revisit it and make sure that they are comfortable with it, and then we will also expand upon the 3.0 scale. So sometimes we will do the 4.0 skills on the scale, and then sometimes we will also jump to like a grade 2 scale and do the foundational 2.0 skills on the second grade scale also. And so for this specific scale that we're referencing, I was working with the kiddos on the 4.0 scale, and we were working with addition and subtraction beyond the numbers of 20, so working on that second grade scale. So yeah, this is us doing some practice in my classroom on the word problems. And then just as a group, we have really found that the students are a lot more engaged when they come to groups because the work that we're giving them is challenging, but it's still work that they can do and it's accessible to them. And they also appreciate the little break in routine. And it has easily become their new routine. They're constantly asking us, "Are math groups today? When are we going to math groups?" And I love it as a teacher, and I know that my colleagues do as well, because we are able to build relationships with kids that we don't usually get to see. And so our team and our grade really is just like a tight-knit family.
So now we're going to hear from the students a little bit, so they're going to face you. All right, so we're going to start with Colton, and he's going to tell you what it is that he likes about math groups and what he has learned. So let's face this way so they can see our faces, though, okay? And let's do this, too. I don't know if this is on or not.
Hi, my name is Colton. I like going to math groups. I like being with my friends to learn math. In my group, we are working on 2-digit addition and subtraction. We are also working on grafting with shapes. We are also working on partitioning word writing shapes. It is important that we get to go to groups with Ms. Hudson, because in our normal classrooms we are on all different levels. Going to groups helps me be challenged more.
Parents, you can come up here to record.
Hi, my name is Joseph, and I like about math group is they are fun and they give me homework and I do it.
Who's going next? All right. All right, why don't you go first? You got your friend here with you, so first you say your name, okay, tell them what your name is.
My name is Miranda.
All right, really loud, you got this. You know what Bill is saying.
You got it.
My name is Miranda Colvin, and I like going to math groups because it's really important on things we don't know yet, and I like my teacher.
And what do you learn?
And I learned 2-digit numbers.
All right, good. All right, there we go. What's your name?
My name is Layla Brown. I'm in Miss Gerson's class.
And what do you like about it?
I like about math groups I like the numbers, and I like the sight words we trace, and sometimes we make colorful ABCs and 10 and we have 10 plus 10 and makes 20. And it's on the paper, then we color it blue or green or something. And a spaceship game we do is we have 5 and 10, and we get 5s and 10s. We count down, and we're the last ones to sit down. We're the winners.
All right, thank you so much for letting us share. Do you have any questions for us?
So we're hearing about your first grade implementation of proficiency scales. Ms. McNulty, first grade, would you say that they're farther along towards implementation as compared to other grade levels, or what are you seeing across your building?
It's just a different implementation, I would say. I think the fact that they took on breaking into groups and switching students in first grade, that's pretty, I feel like that's pretty advanced, and I think that kind of speaks to the collaboration of this team in particular, and the collaboration that it takes to be able to plan that implementation kind of across the whole grade level. That really takes a lot of teamwork.
So all first grade students at Kratz are learning math at the same time?
And they're all switching classes, like kids in first grade are switching classes to get this instruction. So I wouldn't say that other grade levels are doing that, like the switching, but they're finding it to be a really positive and like just something that's helping students learn and really meeting them where they are.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I just want to tell our friends that you all did a really good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I could make one connection, board member, so we know that we're focused on grow your own. I think there's 2 examples of grow your own here in this group, Ms. Hayes and Ms. Hudson. Can you tell your grow your own stories?
Well, I've been in the district for like 17 years. I did not go to Ritenour. I just lived in the district, and then I was employed at the early childhood and got certified, and then they took me in, and I love my home.
We didn't just take her in. We had her substitute in our building, and we were like, we are not letting her go into our building. So.
I am a K through 12 Ritenour graduate. I graduated in 2018 from Ritenour High School, and then I went to Lindenwood University, got my bachelor's degree in elementary education, and I started here at Kratz in December of 2020, and I've been here ever since, loving it. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Will the parents and families of our students from Kratz stand as well? Appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Next, we will have our Wyland family home, Wyland Elementary.
All right, well, good evening, and we are happy to be here tonight to share a little bit about the beginning of our competency-based education journey at Wyland. And so you're going to hear a lot of similarities, which is really exciting to hear across the schools, across grade levels. And tonight we have with us 2 of our leaders and learners who really have taken on in our staff by sharing their enthusiasm and sharing their knowledge. So we have Mr. Scott Eichhoff, a 5th grade teacher, and Ms. Grace Schlendeman, a 4th grade teacher. And then Ms. Bodie and I are very excited to have them bring some of their student leaders and learners who are going to introduce themselves tonight, and they'll also be sharing their experiences and their thoughts with you. So here is the Ritenour vision, and here is Wyland's vision that we have written in connection to the Ritenour vision, and we just highlighted some of the words that we feel like really encompass CBL. And then same thing for our mission statement. And you're going to hear tonight that these students are really collaborating, they're really thinking, they're working together to make sure that they are also doing their very best learning.
And at Wyland, we keep the equity statement at the center of all of our work. And our value statements at Wyland, we really value academic, social, and emotional growth, along with collaborative goal setting and data-driven decisions, and making sure that all of our students have a growth mindset.
If I was building a house, I would start with the floor and foundation. That's like my 2.0 skills. As I keep working up the foundation and 2.0 skills, I will reach the roof of the house, which is my 3.0 skill. My 2.0 skill supports my 3.0 skill, like the way walls support the roof.
So this is an example of what the teacher-facing document looks like for the proficiency scales. And this doesn't quite look like that. But I was going to say it provides a lot of clarity, but it really doesn't. It really does provide us teachers with clarity in terms of what the students need to know prerequisite-wise in order to reach that grade level 3.0 standard. When you're thinking of a standard, you can unwrap it into the components of the embedded skills, and this breaks it down so easily for us, and we can say when we're thinking of our instructional decisions, we know what within that standard we can pinpoint, target, teach, or reteach for them to move on to either the next 2.0 skill or to the 3.0. This is an example of the reading one, and reading naturally is going to be a little bit more subjective. This has reduced that to make our decision making more clear, concise, but also giving students exactly what they need at the same time.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of Grace, I really think it also helps when we think about our parents and we're having those conversations with them, right? Like, where is your kid at? Where are they going? And I think the proficiency scales give us as teachers a great way to say, hey, they've got these things, they need to work on this, and this is where we're going. And it gives us a direct way to have a really high quality educational conversation with stakeholders about their child's education. And I think it really helps us as teachers and supports us with that, with communicating with the parents and things like that. I would then, I'm going to throw it over to Ty and Carter.
The proficiency scale is a... I'm supposed to use this? Alright, sorry. Hi, my name is Ty. The proficiency scale is a roadmap of skills. It can help you see where you are at and where you're going. For example, it allows... Sorry, I gotta hear this. Me to see what I know and what I am needing to learn to be on grade level, and for me, above grade level. Here you go, Carter.
My name is Carter Allen, and I agree with Ty. It is really cool to know where you are at and where you are going. The 2.0 skills are the foundational skills. You need these to go to the 3.0 level. And 4.0 skills are you are above grade level. The proficiency skills do a great job at learning me how to learn the roadmap to our learning.
The instructional progression helps me take responsibility because I am tracking my own growth. My teacher gives me a task to complete to demonstrate my understanding of this skill. Once I'm ready to move on, we highlight to the next level and talk about my goals.
After we learn from the mini lesson, Miss S worked with us in small groups. Those small groups are based off what we already know and what we need to learn. Some groups may be working on 3.0 skills, while others even 4.0 skills.
In reading, Miss S and I talk about where my learning is at and what steps I need to take to reach my next goal. Sometimes I'll use my IDR time to check in power and work on tasks to show evidence of my learning and current proficiency level.
So this is the universal visual that the district has implemented, and we were talking about it as a class as we were explaining it, and I asked the students what they think would happen if they went from learning how to ride a tricycle to no training wheels at all, so from a 1 to a 3. And they all, made funny faces and they're like, we fall off, like we would crash. And I said, that's exactly the way the scoring is. The one is us providing you the most amount of support to be successful. And then 2 is when you take off those, or when you go from a tricycle to a training wheels. And then from the training wheels to the bicycle without the training wheels. And then doing wheelies on the sidewalk at your 4.0. And breaking it down like this hadn't been make that instant connection. And, us teachers love that light bulb moment. And all those ahas were going off. And they understood why it's a 2.0, why it's a 3.0. And Mr. Arkoff, do you want to talk about the in-between 2.5s?
Oh, and so when we think about our proficiency scale, something cool that we have done at Ritenour, the CNI team and everybody, something cool they have done is they've allowed progression in between the 1, 2, 3, and 4, if that makes sense. So you can get a 1.5, which says, hey, I'm on my way. I'm not there yet to the 2s, but I'm on my way there. So it gives those kids a chance to be like, all right, I can get there, I can get there, I can get there. Same thing going from the 2 to the 3. All right, I got all my 2.0s, but I don't quite have my 3.0 yet. Now I'm a 2.5. And those half points have really helped showing those kids they're making growth, even if they're not all the way to their finish line yet. They're still working their way there, and I really like that we have those half points as a part of it.
CBC helped me have a growth mindset because I track my own learning since I know exactly where my current level is. I feel motivated to push through hard problems so I can reach my 3.0 goals.
When I use my proficiency scaffolding, I track what I have already learned and what I am still working on. When Ms. S gives me feedback, I accept it and fix what I need to fix so I can reach my individual goals.
In our class, Mr. Eichhoff gives us student playlist to track our progress. I enjoy the ability to track my progress because it shows me how far I've come and how far I still have to go. I also like how Mr. Eichhoff gave us multiple options for our 3.0 Tuck Everlasting project. He did not make everyone do the same thing. I got to record an ad for Everlasting Water.
Thank you. I think student choice is a great way for students to learn because there is not just one way to do things. Every kid is different. Like in the Tuck project, I made a map of tree gap and its different settings. I also think the 2 playlists help me self-reflect on what I am doing well and what I need to work on. It helps me with goal setting and progress. That's it. Thank you for letting us share about Wyland. Do you have any questions?
Good job, Are there any questions?
I heard such great analogies here. I love the picture you shared of like the house, right? And like your first level being your foundation of your house, and then that supports your 2.0 level, which then does the roof, because you don't just go straight to a roof. That's really, I love that picture. And so is there one that you're working on right now that you're like really excited to get and move on to that next skill? Is there one you've been working on? Anybody that you want to share?
Us 3 are going adding and subtracting fractions.
Ooh, I need help with that.
Parker, what are you looking at?
So in 5-6, we're doing create and analyzing line plots.
My turn? Well, maybe
Want to look at your folder?
I got this, yeah.
All right, give you a little.
Are all the proficiency scales right inside your folder? Is that what that is?
Yes.
It's his math one. It's his math folder, so that's his math materials.
I really don't know what to talk about.
All right.
All right, well, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight with our awesome student and staff leaders that we have at Wyland.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Will the parents of our Wyland students please stand so we can recognize you?
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So good. Okay, 3.3, the Board of Education met in closed session on November 9th, 2023 for a discussion of personnel agenda items. Moving on to 3.4, public comments. We did not receive any public comments for tonight, so we will move on to our reports. Our President's Report 4.1 for tonight.
Can I pause for a second? I'm sorry. Do we need to have the doors open?
Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
Just close it. So, Native American Heritage Month, I am proud to report that schools throughout our district celebrated Native American Heritage Month in November. Students learned about Native American culture, traditions, clothing, art, music, and much, much more. During the morning announcements throughout November, Haiti students were treated to some of their principals' heritage as part of the Mohawk tribe. Dr. Alexander Terrence shared bits of his Native American family history and culture during the morning announcements throughout November. Dr. Terrence also had fun sharing words in Mohawk that he learned from his grandparents. Each day, students learned a new word and a little history behind the word. Another shout out goes to Ritenour Middle School leadership students who put together a bulletin board to display in the front hallway of their school. Ritenour Middle School students also could view Native American art and artifacts in the main hallway display case. The school libraries at Haiti and Ritenour Middle School also showcase many books relating to Native American culture and history that students could borrow. At the elementary level, students at Booter and Wyland learned about famous Native Americans thanks to displays outside of their school libraries and hallways. Teachers also read books to students that highlighted Native American culture and history. These are just a few of the many examples of the ways our students celebrated Native American history. Native American Heritage Month. And that concludes our President's Report. We will move on to 4.2, our Superintendent's Report.
Thank you. So board members, the Ritenour Holiday Food Drive, families and staff again showed up and showed the giving spirit during the holiday season, donating 10,000 items of food during the annual food drive. This food drive has been going since 1981. According to the pantry, the Ritenour Co-Care Food Pantry, there were more than 7,000 pounds of food that were taken to the food pantry and is being given out to customers that shop at the pantry. Ritenour Middle School continued to lead the district in donations, collecting 2,665 total food items. Thank you to the Overland Public Works Department for picking up all the food from Ritenour schools across the district on the 20th of November and delivering the food items to the Co-Care Pantry. thanks again to the City of Overland for helping us to make these deliveries as well. Board members, also, the Board of Election is open. Candidates are able to, Ritenour residents that are interested in being a candidate for the April 2nd, 2024 Ritenour Board of Education election may file for candidacy at the St. Louis County Board of Elections at 725 Northwest Plaza Drive in St. Anne. The filing period for the April 2nd election is open. It will close at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the 26th of December. As you remember, by state statute, those windows changed just a couple of years ago. 2 positions are on the ballot this year as the 3-year terms of Ms. Lisa Glover-Jones and Ms. Vanessa Enriquez-Pimblat expire April 2024. Statute requires a person to be a U.S. citizen, 24 years of age or older, a resident taxpayer of the district, and to have resided in Missouri for at least 1 year immediately preceding the election. Board candidates must not be delinquent in paying state income taxes, personal property taxes, municipal taxes, or real estate property taxes on their primary place of residence. Board members serve 3-year terms and are not paid for their service. Candidates receive an information packet after they've filed at the County Board of Elections. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We will move on to 4.3, our student representative report. Ms. Hope.
Hello. So I was talking with Kaylin, our student representative on the city council, and we are wanting to create a social media account for the student representatives. And Kaylin sent me what exactly this would be. We were both thinking it, but she said it better, so I'm using what she said. So this is what the purpose of the social media account would be. It would be able to make posts that explain school or local policies, how they affect students, and the reasons behind them. This will not only make it easier to gauge student opinion on them, but may also heighten understanding. Gauge student opinion in general. Be able to advertise the student representative position, and also a place to advertise student reps in general so students know who they are. So it's as competitive as possible for the next student representative. Perhaps this can lead to student board with non-representative students meeting with rep students to discuss policy. Able to make posts on importance of political participation, why we vote, why the rep position is important, how do the city councils or local governments affect the school, how do they work. On the city level, make posts advertising different events in Overland, and she said she can always find different other cities' events as well. Be able to have times where we can have discussions with students for clarification or to talk about different ideas in general. It's just another way to be approachable for the students and have an easier way to contact us. I also talked with Dr. Thomas recently about creating like a little student board. What it would be is we would have representatives from each school, one from 8th graders and 5th graders. I'm still working out on the rules and stuff, and it would have Kaylin as well. But what would happen is they would report to me, and then I would take notes on what they say, and then I would report to you guys. And this will ensure that not only am I representing the high school, but I'm representing the entire district. And then I also am making a plan to create a guidebook for future student representatives. So I'm going to write notes that will help them in the future, like dress code and stuff. And so if you guys have ideas of what to put in the notebook, then I'm willing to totally give it to you to write in it. Any help will be appreciated. And this concludes my report.
I do have one question in regards to the nutrition program. I know they launched the a la carte. Has there been any feedback from students on that?
So we are grateful for the menu change. At first they were a little wary because from when we first read it, our understanding was that we just got like what was on the menu and we were like, oh no, it's just cheeseburgers and chicken sandwiches, and then the menu change happened. So they were very thankful about that. I think we might have to advertise it again because we were still like transitioning from the old menu to the new menu. So I did talk to Dr. Kilbright about that, but I think we need more advertising on that just to refresh memories.
Thank you. We will move on to 4.4, our NSBA report. Mrs. Lucas.
Thank you. Great report. I'm very excited about that representation across the other schools. That's a great idea. Okay, well, I don't really have much to report, just as a reminder before we watch the movie here shortly that, again, session starts January 3rd. Legislative meetings, I don't know when I feel like I have them on my calendar, but I don't remember when the first one is.
First session is the 19th of January, I believe. We've coordinated 3 meetings throughout the year, and Scott Kimball is going to come and present at all 3 again.
Okay. I did just want to share an idea that I had for MSBA policy, or I don't know what his new title is, but I think it would be really great to have, I know they send the updates, like the legislative action updates to us on Friday, so when session starts every Friday, you get an email from MSBA saying, this is like the recap, and then if there's an advocacy kind of alert, they'll send out a separate email. I think what would be helpful though is to actually just have a shareable spreadsheet that tracks all of the bills that are filed and sort of in real time shows us where they are, because things just go so quickly. You know, I know other groups do that, and it's just really helpful, again, to keep us at a local level contacting our representatives and just have a better pulse on what's going on, as opposed to just waiting until that Friday. You know, that way we can have I can have an update for you all here. And, so anyway, just wanted to share that that's something I would like for us, at least as our board, to have, but hopefully MSBA can build something like that out fairly quickly for everybody. So any other suggestions or things that you think would make it easier for you to, again, have your own knowledge and your own information so that you feel on top of what bills are going on? As we know, bills have been pre-filed since December 1st, and those come in so quickly and move very quickly, so it'd be helpful to just have that. That's all I have. So, on with the show.
We begin with a look at the 2023 MSBA Annual Conference in cooperation with MASSA and MOASBA. This year's event was once again held in Kansas City. MSBA President Ruth Johnson got the conference off to a great start during the first general session. During her remarks, she shared the story of her transformative journey through public education and how school board members make journeys like hers possible.
Each of you, as passionate members of your local school boards, holds the key to that transformation for your students. Your belief in their potential, regardless of their background, can change the course of their entire lives. You possess the ability to pave the way for brighter futures, offering hope and opportunities where none seem to exist. Education is the great equalizer, breaking down the walls that social and economic hardships build. It provides a platform for dreams to flourish, talents to be nurtured, and potentials to be realized. As members of the school board, we are the gatekeepers of this transformative power, able to shape educational policies and programs that level the playing field and other genuine opportunities for all.
ABC News veteran and creator and host of What Would You Do, John Quinones, was the keynote speaker for the second general session of the conference. His presentation detailed his odds-defying journey and celebrated the life-changing power of education.
Yes, today I wouldn't be the man I am today had it not been for the education I received in public school and then in college at a time when all the odds were stacked against me. And then along came my first hero besides my mother and father, and it was my English teacher, Mrs. Gutierrez, in 10th grade at Brackenridge High School, when everyone else had told me, you're not college material, you know, no one in your family's ever gone to college, you speak with a funny accent, you don't have any money, your grades aren't all that great. When those teachers, you know, what gives you the audacity, John Quinones, to think you can go to college? When those teachers told me that, my high school English teacher, Mrs. Gutierrez, did the opposite. She said, Johnny, I love the way you write your essays in English class. I love the way you tell stories. Have you thought about journalism?
Missouri's 2024 Teacher of the Year, Greg Kester, spoke during the conference's third general session and banquet. Kester is a social studies teacher at Potosi High School in the Potosi R3 School District. He said that when people wonder about the status of our state and nation, the answers we are looking for are right in front of us.
The test of a nation's status is the quality of its citizenry. And I have good news. My country is full of good quality citizens. I'm staring at a group of good quality people right now, and I can prove it. What do you call a person who runs for an elected office that does not pay? Now that sounds like a school board member, but at the core, it is really just a quality person. The key attribute to the best quality people is not their patience, not their ability to forgive the eternally unhappy, but their capacity to love and to serve. It is easy to love one's spouse, one's family, one's friend, and one's neighbor. The capacity to love and serve in this instance, in which I speak, is love for what I refer to as the generalized other, which is much more difficult. The generalized other is the person that you may never meet, the person whose name you will never know, or the kid attending your school district that you will never see. It is this ability to love and serve that is required of elected school board members every day. This love and service is a reflection of people's quality and citizens of virtue. These are the people who run for an office, not to build a resume, not for personal gain, but to serve their neighbor, their community, and the children in their local public school. It is a great thing, this thing we call public service.
In addition to the outstanding general sessions, the conference featured more than 70 concurrent sessions on a wide range of topics, Missouri's premier education trade show, the Education Expo, MSBA Student Showcase of Public School Programs, and much more. MSBA's Delegate Assembly also met in conjunction with the annual conference to establish the position statements that will guide advocacy work throughout the coming year. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thank you for allowing us to have some time.
That concludes the report. Thank you.
Special school district.
Governing Council met on December the 4th. Couple things that they brought out. The PAC is trying to get a better relationship with the Board of Education for Special School District as well as the Governing Council. So they are hosting a kind of a meet and greet and on their May meeting and asked for all of us to plan to be in attendance on site at SSD that day instead of Zoom. So it'll be the first time there's been a PAC or Governing Council meeting in person in quite a while. As well as there was some new motions put in place that changed the way Governing Council votes on Governing Council members, or I'm sorry, Board of Education members. And they've now changed that to that has to be done in person. That is no longer a over Zoom meeting, so that we can actually ask questions and talk to people and not try to do that strictly by screen and things like that. One of their concerns was, which has always been a concern on Zoom in my opinion, but people turn their screen off and how do you know they're really sitting there listening and then they're voting on somebody and how much of who or what did they listen to. So in person, you you know you have a captive audience. One of PAC's concerns and things that their initiatives that they're working on, and I have talked with Angie for very briefly, her and I would like to have some more conversation with her, but is getting our students that receive services from SSD more involved in sports and in extracurricular activities, because a lot of times our students are coming to school being put on a bus and sent home. And not given that opportunity. So I know that Angie shared with me that some of our SSD students do play in a few of the sports, and a man after my own heart, Mr. Nathan, over at the high school, is working very diligently to get a lot of our students who receive services more active in the extracurricular activities, and being sure that there's transportation to get them back and forth, things like that, that starts to become an issue for some of them. Is there's no way, if they ride an SSD bus, that SSD bus leaves at a certain time, there's no way to get that student home, there's no way. So hearing that he is working with some of our higher functioning students and making sure that we can get them into those extracurriculars is very exciting news for me. On the 17th of November, the budget process for SSD opened. It will close on January the 5th. And new COO, unique individual. And she's changed up some of the ways that they're doing their budgeting, and can't say that there was a lot of conversation between governing council on if that's the route we'd like to see the budget being ran. So I know that I would like to hear a little bit more from Angie down the road of how that's working for Ritenour and that new budgeting process and things like that. So hopefully have more for you here shortly, but kind of where we're falling right now.
Thank you. We will move on to our business items. 5.1, the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. Dr. Bruce Green.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Kilbride, and community. Tonight, I will be presenting on the CSIP, our Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, our final draft that was submitted to the state back in June as a draft. So the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan is allowed with the vision, mission, as well as the equity statement as they're part of the comprehensive draft that was submitted. So tonight, what we would like to do is provide an update on success-ready schools, as well as provide an update on the CSIP process, show a high-level overview of the CSIP, department and building level plans, and then last but not least, seek the Board of Education approval on the district CSIP. Want to let you know that also was uploaded was the final draft copy of it, and again, it's a draft, so we make edits and refinements as needed through our engagement processes that we have that we'll talk about later on in the plan. So just some updates. Again, the pre-planning document for the CSIP was submitted back in June. Building department level drafts were submitted on or before the 25th of July. There are some hyperlinks that are embedded within the presentation that you can click on as well. The final draft was submitted to DESE October 1st, 2023, and that was after some feedback that was given. We did update some data metrics for college and career graduation, and had a dropout review and updates were submitted as well. Each school, which is different this year, they developed a one-page action plan, and there was a short video specific to their CSIP. Again, a hyperlink is included in the presentation. I want to remind you all that there's 6 goals under MSIP 6. They're listed here on the screen. Those that are in bold are the goals that we focused on as we developed the CSIP for the district. Did not stray away from our previous goals that we had, look for alignment. So our academic goal falls under effective teaching and learning. Our college and career readiness goal falls under equity and access. And then last but not least, our attendance goal falls under collaborative culture as well as climate. Some of the data metrics that we looked at in developing the CSIP, without question, student performance data, some metrics under their graduation trends, academic performance as it relates to graduation trends, whether it's our CCR assessments, dual credit, dual enrollment, attendance trends, our MAP and ELC data, behavior referral data, and then parent and community input. A lot of that was covered through our community dinner dialogues and then the Culture and Climate Survey as well. Wanted to align things, according to resource and budget, and then we looked also at staff development and training needs. So as we look at some of the highlights for the CSIP, again, just a highlight to pull some things that were pretty key out of the building as well as department level plans and the comprehensive document. And you'll see that embedded on the next series of slides. So some of the highlights were to ensure equal access and opportunity to achieve academic excellence for every student, look for structures and alternatives to extend learning opportunities and to address academic as well as behavioral needs, and then increase teacher and administrative capacity to use data to improve instruction and by implementing and monitoring appropriate interventions. Some highlights, this falls under the Human Resources Department, recruit and retain highly qualified staff. So looking at the HR department, some things that were key that were included in there was the recruitment of teachers from a variety of areas across the county, seek out teachers and staff with diverse backgrounds, and also provide anti-bias training for staff and parents to participate in interview panels to help minimize barriers based on preconceived notions. In addition to that, just some other highlights that we looked at for this centered around professional development and coaching related to effective assessments and instructional strategies, and the district leadership team provide monthly professional development in the following areas: student and staff wellness, high quality instruction, welcome inclusive environment, and then people development. Just some more highlights that are in the plan focusing on early childhood education. The district has moved to an early childhood structure that is free and open to the community, and student enrollment has increased because of that. In addition, ensuring accountability and fidelity to the curriculum is a focus that's in the plan as well. So the district building leadership, coaches, and mentors participate in regular walkthroughs and observations, and they provide feedback to implementation and fidelity of the curriculum. I was smiling because we have walkthroughs tomorrow morning at the high school with the CNI team and the superintendent. So definitely a great process so that we can learn from one another and encourage one another as we look to be the instructional leaders for the space in which we're in. In addition to that, under our student support services, looking at social emotional supports that are put in place to address the needs of students. The attendance is definitely tied to that when we look at supporting the well-being of students. So we have key staff members that are identified, counselors, social workers, and social interventionists, emotional interventionists. They're trained to support students' mental health and are providing the support to our students. Also have an equity statement that we manage growth, and it's the dashboard, it's a hyperlink in the presentation, and looking at our written portrait of a written graduate to determine skills, growth, and readiness, working on that throughout this school year, and presentations have been on the district-wide facility plan that's monitored and aligned to budgeting parameters, and they're calculated on a yearly basis to ensure funding. Other highlights, we talked about portion of a graduate in terms of attendance, because that's a component that is listed within MSIP as well as CSIP, and if students are not in school, then we know that they're not learning the things that they may not be learning the things that we need them to learn. So the attendance teams are meeting weekly to identify students who are not above 90%, and specifically at the high school, we'll host multiple college and career fairs for high school students. Middle high school counselors are looking at reviewing the ICAPs, individual career and academic plans quarterly, and more if needed and as needed. And building leaders have implemented check-ins with students based on panorama data, so attendance, academics, as well as SELs. So the hyperlinks that we mentioned that simply has the action plans that are aligned to the district goals. The goals are in there for our buildings, and then to simplify the process, there's a one-page CSIP as well as a video, let's say a minute, 2, maybe 3 minutes, that was developed by each of the building teams to explain that document and process. Assistant superintendents and department needs, they meet monthly to discuss progress and a modification to those action plans. Again, we want this to be a living document and not something that just sits on the shelf, but something that we use and refer back to. It's our guide, blueprint, roadmap. And building leaders, they have monthly meetings with agenda items that are aligned to the CSIP. Additionally, some other highlights that are in there, all departments provide an annual program evaluation, self-assessment, progress towards their goals and support needed to meet the goals based on the CSIP strategic plan. Professional Development Committee participates in an annual self-audit to review how well professional development learning supports educator growth. Their monthly meetings with building principals as well as assistant principals, and then the dinner data dialogues. So the procedures that we put in place, we'll talk about this first bullet on one of the later slides. Develop a dashboard for our DESE state waiver. Principals are doing weekly walkthroughs, provide feedback, tracking data, embedding our instructional framework into PLCs and data teams, looking at SMART goals, and the district is focusing on instructional strategy through our competency-based learning initiative. Those efforts to track ongoing through administrative walkthroughs and using Kicker. Again, want to remind you of the engagement opportunities that we have for our CSIP, site-based CSIP meetings, PLCs, Board of Education meetings, what we're doing tonight. We'll come back at a future date to talk about some updates, monthly administrative meetings, monthly support administrative meetings, data dialogues, and dates listed on the screen, community data meetings, and then the state of the district as well. This time I'll turn the floor to Dr. Kilbride.
Thanks, Dr. Green. Board members, I was in training all day today with Dr. Stewart, Doug Gray, and Dr. Nobile, and we were working on our state waiver. As you remember, we were approved for a Department of Elementary and Secondary Education waiver to design the next generation assessment system and the next generation APR. So each year, a performance report is initiated. We are receiving a waiver from the APR, and this is the timeline for that waiver. We are accountable for developing a dashboard. We'll have a draft of that dashboard for you on January 14th at our January business meeting. So our next meeting, we'll have the structure for it. That is the way that we will be held accountable. It is accurately and transparently communicating to the community in key areas. That is student growth within the year towards standards and a competency-based approach. It's student growth across years, which is something that board members have been asking for some years. How do we measure growth over time? How do we measure growth of a cohort of kids across years? In addition to that, we have to report on graduation rate, we have to report on student attendance, and we also have to report on these things that are called market value assets. The Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City is funding a lot of this work, and the market value asset term really comes out of the Kauffman work. And really what that means, we could interpret that as college and career readiness. So the metrics that we will have that will go along with that, some examples would be, what is the number of students that are graduating from Ritenour High School with at least 9 college credit hours? What are the number of students that are graduating from Ritenour High School going into the military at a rank of E3 or enlisted 3, meaning they've completed the ROTC program? Number of students enrolled in dual credit, dual enrollment. We'll be going through all of those metrics with you in January, and that will be approved by the State Board of Education on January 31st. What this looks like is we're accountable for having a local dashboard, But there's also going to be one statewide dashboard that's a part of this Success Ready Schools network, and that is going to come together by June 30th. So this is moving pretty quickly. There's been some good work that's been done around it, and it aligns perfectly with our competency-based learning work. So today, we had a good day of learning. So January 31st is the target for having the structure of the dashboard. February 28th is the target for not only having the structure for the dashboard, but also having it populated with metrics that are specific here to the district. This will be a great way to monitor our CSIP plan, and this is what is required of the waiver. So on a yearly basis, we'll be receiving our alternate APR as we're one of the 20 districts in the waiver. So look forward to being able to talk through this in January.
So definitely thank you for your time seeking the board's approval on this CSIP with the understanding that revisions will be made throughout the year as we continue to meet and make refinements along the way. This time I answer any questions you may have.
I do have one question that's kind of not, my question is as I was clicking on the links, thank you, led to a lot of good sites. I just wanted to ask, and maybe this is to Doug, is everything available in Spanish and our other languages on those links that are provided in there?
No, not yet. We can't have them translated out.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. It's important information that we have out there for everybody to see. I just want to make sure that everybody can see.
I appreciate the information on the dashboard coming, because when I think about some of the measurables, looking at the attached document that kind of gives the outline, how are we measuring teacher capacity? When we talk about increasing teacher and administrator capacity, how do you measure something like that, and what's the goal that we're looking for in that type of situation?
So I don't know that we've set a goal in terms of quantitative goal, which is something that we probably should look at. Dr. Gilbride, do you have any?
Teacher capacity, generally it's through professional development surveys. It's a lot of self-reported data. So we've got self-reported data on the PD side, and then we look at the teacher evaluation, the PVT. So are teachers being grown to the point that they're meeting the expectations in the PVTE? But we don't roll that up or aggregate that in terms of the number of teachers that we've grown their capacity to meet, teacher evaluation. Do teachers have the skills and abilities to meet the expectations in the evaluation study?
Yeah, I was just asking because I was looking at some of the evidence-based strategies and just curious,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the CSIP strategic plan as presented.
Second.
Mr. Eden?
Yes.
Dr. Allen Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lois?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to 5.2, our audit approval. Mr. Moore.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you know, the district is audited every year by independent certified public accountants. So tonight from Daniel Jones and Associates CPAs, Matthew Sell is joining us. He was in charge of the audit this year.
Good evening. On behalf of Daniel Jones and Associates, I would like to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to audit Ritenour School District for fiscal year 23. I'd also like to thank Celia Pearson and her team for working with me to get the items I need in a timely manner. We're pleased to say that there appear to be no issues to report. The audit went very well and we observed no findings. We as auditors are to look at the district and issue opinions as to whether or not the school district has been presented fairly in all material respects or has any observed material misstatements in their financial data, internal control, or federal programs. The audit can be broken into three parts: financial statements, state requirements, and federal awards. First, we issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. This is the highest mark a district can receive and means this was a clean audit with no observed issues. Second, through our testing, we found the district appears to be in compliance with state requirements relating to attendance, transportation, and budgetary procedures. And finally, because the district expensed more than $750,000 in federal awards, they were subject to a single audit. We have issued an unmodified opinion for compliance with federal awards, and again, this is the highest opinion a district can receive. In closing, I would like to congratulate the school district on having an excellent audit, and I thank you, board, for your time tonight.
Anyone have any questions?
No? Thank you for your hard work. So you're looking for a recommendation? I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the audit as presented to the Board of Education.
Second?
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
I just recently sat through an audit and I commend you. It was so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Very nice. So we will move on to 5.3, our December construction update. Mr. Michelson?
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, as you know, our effective facilities help to meet the mission and vision. Our facilities should provide the best physical environment for learning to occur, and all district schools should provide consistent and equitable environments. Tonight I am going to discuss Ritenour High School track repair, intercom replacement at several of our schools, boiler replacement in the Ritenour High School pool boiler room, and give you an update on our progress with secure entrances and planning around that. First, to speak about the track replacement. High school track is well used and is in need of being resurfaced. We did do minor repairs in 2021. But the entire surface is now in need of replacement. The surface material is thin, not fit for our athletes. There are mold and worn spots, and there are some areas that are considered to be hazardous. A couple pictures of some of the damage, and if you were to walk the track, you wouldn't be able to see much more damage than that. Byrne & Jones is a reputable contractor for school track installation and replacement. They've done many jobs around St. Louis. And they participate in community pricing. That means that competitive bidding has already been completed. For the tracks, Byrne & Jones proposed the following: to replace the, remove and replace the track surface for a cost of $259,690. That includes a $30,000 allowance for asphalt repairs because until we get the surface off, we're really not sure exactly what's under there. We're confident that it's going to be in good shape because we're assured that it was built correctly the first time. However, we really don't know until we get under it. Also, to crack fill and seal the asphalt between the track and the home bleachers. That's an alternate for $8,270 for a total of $267,960. Question came up last week around Special Olympics and the timing of the track being completed. I worked with Drew Lonis, the athletic director at the high school. Been given permission to start even earlier with stripping the current surface off of the track so that they can start the asphalt repairs as early as possible. We've been told that finishing the track by April 15th is completely doable. The Special Olympics is April 25th. So, of course, there's no 100% guarantee. We don't know what the weather's going to be like between now and then. And I'm working with Nathan Dwyer and Angie Faust on possible contingencies should we start running up against, if weather does start to become an issue, to have a contingency put in place.
And Mike, that's 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks is now 4 to 5?
That is correct. That is correct. And even more so because Drew Lonis said, you know, get in and do whatever you need to do preparation-wise now. The most important thing to all of us is to have the track ready to go by mid-April. And therefore, I'm recommending that the board approve the quote of $267,960 by Vernon Jones to remove and resurface the high school track and to seal the asphalt between the track and home bleachers. I'm more than happy to answer questions.
So in the President, I asked the question because that 4 to 5 week time frame is my understanding is based off weather dependent. So in the event that we start the work and we have to stop due to weather, would that potentially cause any type of damage to the existing work that had been done?
Not to the existing work because they'll get, once they strip, then they'll do the asphalt. When they lay the actual track surface, they watch the weather and make sure that they have enough time to get the surface down. It's based upon the temperature and it's also based upon the moisture level, obviously, when it's raining. So they would not lay in the rain, or if there was a prediction of rain, they wouldn't lay that down. They wouldn't lay that down. Right now, they are replacing the track at Francis Howell. You know, this was a good week. They had it all prepared, ready to go. The weather cooperated, and so they installed Francis Howell's. And so by preparing as soon as possible, getting that prep work of the track done, then what we're looking for is just a small window of time for them to be able to come in and get that track laid. What I was told by Vernon Jones is that we are lucky in that right now there are no other tracks scheduled to be installed at this time, during that time. And so they have an A crew and a B crew, and both the A crew and the B crew would be available to complete that.
And with the track getting such usage from the community, do we have to do, or will we be doing any type of notification to the community so that they know it will not be available during that time frame?
Correct. We would have to put a notice out to the community, and then we would also have to make sure that there's signage, because we wouldn't want somebody getting down there, especially once the track surface is removed, if there's anything that could be considered to be hazardous. Obviously, especially when that new track is laid until it sets, you know, we have to make sure that there's no, you know, damage done to it while it's still soft and cure it.
Ms. Faust, do you have confidence that in the event something delays, that we would have some kind of contingency plan in place for Special Olympics?
Yeah, we can adapt or modify some of the events, you know, like the relays and things like that. We can change them a little bit and also use like another area for it. And Mike has said he'll keep us posted on, you know, progress of it. Give us some time to be, you know, implementing.
All right, I'll make a recommendation that the board approve the quote of $267,960 by Byrne and Jones to remove and resurface the Ritenour High School track and to seal the asphalt between the track and home bleachers.
I second.
Mr. Eden?
Yes.
Dr. Allen Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Garden?
Yes.
Mrs. Lonis?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll speak about intercom replacement.
Several of our schools received new CareHawk intercoms over the past few years. Those were all emergency situations where we were required, where the intercom system went down, we were required to do an emergency replacement of the head end of those intercoms. The other schools, the old intercom systems are no longer supported. They no longer make the parts. And we've used all of the spare parts that we had from the other models at this time. We don't want to get into another emergency situation and lose our intercoms because that could be a safety concern. Therefore, it's time to replace the remaining old intercom systems at Hake, Booter, Iveland, Kratz, and Marion. Tech Electronics and Room Ready are the licensed CareHawk vendors in St. Louis. They both have performed excellent work for us on projects here in Ritenour. They both submitted bids. Only the head end of each system needs to be replaced, which means we don't have to replace the wiring or the speakers. That would be a much, much bigger job and a much larger expense if we had to do that. So all we need to do is that head end, that the brains of the intercom system. Tech Electronics came in with the low bid of $87,982. If approved, that work could begin in January. Those intercoms do not have a long lead time. This would be a Proposition S project. That's where the funds would come from. And therefore, I'm recommending that the board accept the bid from Tech Electronics for $87,982 to replace the head ends of the intercom systems at Hake, Booter, Iveland, Kratz, and Marion. I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions? May I make a motion? I'd like to make the motion to approve the bid from Tech Electronics for $87,982. Let me read that again. $87,982 to replace the head ends of the intercom systems at Hake, Booter, Iveland, Kratz, and Marion.
Second.
Mrs. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mrs. DeGarmo?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you all. And next, speak about the Ritenour High School pool boiler replacement. There are currently 8 boilers in the high school pool boiler room. 4 of those boilers heat the pool water and the domestic water in the pool area. The other 4 boilers are for the HVAC system in that entire area. And you can see the corrosion of a lot of the parts there and why they need to be replaced. The cause of that deterioration is the caustic pool chemicals. They were actually stored, what we found out was the pool chemicals were stored in the same area as the boiler.
Is that why there was like a strong chlorine smell for a while?
Well, they've been stored there for a long, long
I
time.
know, but like we said, like at the beginning of the school year, there was like this really strong chlorine smell for like a little bit.
It could be. That wasn't the issue back then, but I think what that may have been is at the beginning of the year, they do a lot of the pool work where they're adjusting the pH to make sure the pool's ready to go.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So the pool chemicals and the increased humidity caused by the pool itself has caused that excessive deterioration. We have moved the pool chemicals out of that space so that therefore the likelihood of those pool chemicals causing damage to the new machinery that won't happen. Our performance contractor Amoresco and our mechanical contractor Wigman collaborated to develop a boiler replacement plan, and that would be using 6 high-efficiency boilers instead of 8, because that would provide enough hot water and enough redundancy in case there was a boiler that were to fail or need to be repaired. There would always be 2 boilers working at any one time. What we would do is we would cycle on and cycle off one of the boilers, so that two were running, always running at one time, and one would be resting. You can see the work that would be done also during this, which would be coating all of the existing exposed pipes that would be to protect it from future deterioration, insulating the pipes, new pumps, gas shutoff valve to be code, new boiler controls, ventilation upgrades. Stacy, last week you asked about a dehumidifier, and that is actually included as part of the plan.
Okay, so that will help too.
Yes, it will. And other code upgrades. Amoresco quoted $577,714 for the boiler upgrades. This is work that we would do over the summer of 2024 due to the lead time on boilers. And these boilers are going to hold up until it's not going to be an issue. The project would be funded through Proposition S, and therefore I'm recommending that the Board of Education accept the bid from Amoresco for $577,714 for boiler upgrades in the high school pool boiler room. And I'm happy to answer questions.
The only question I was going to ask is it the new thing, ice baths? I mean, I'm just asking.
Well, you know, what was it, 2 years ago, it was almost, it had to be ice baths because we had to replace that heat exchanger, you know, so.
Well, I can say that I truly appreciate our investment in the pool. Not only do we have swim teams, but the fact that we have swim classes also. Really, there are kids that learn how to swim, and that is such an important life skill to have. So I'm just very thankful that we have a pool, because there's a lot of schools now that don't build with pools. So just very thankful for us to have.
Your investment last year of replastering the pool, you know, now it was needed and required, you know, that it be done, but that was a, you know, an upgrade that really makes that pool pop.
Just a random question. The pool chemicals, they're now in an area that they won't cause damage also to that area?
Yes, it's a different area away from the mechanical components. So there's no mechanical components where they're being stored now. It's in a place they call the pit. So I don't know what the pit is. I haven't been to the pit, but that's the area where they're being stored now, away from the mechanical components.
All right. I'd like to make that we accept the bid from Amoresco for $577,714 for boiler upgrades in the RHS pool boiler room.
Second.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeGarmo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lovis?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Well,
Thank you.
and next I'd like to just give you an update on the secure entrances. I'm going to speak specifically tonight about the high school, Kratz, and the administrative center. Improving safety and security was part of Proposition S, especially improving the access control of the entrances to the schools. Adding a secure vestibule at the main entrance provides controlled access to visitors to the school. So when they enter the building, they don't just have access to the entire building, they're met with another door so that they don't have access into the building. They're directed then to go into the office instead to check in. We completed entrance vestibules at Ritenour Middle School, Marion, and Wineland last summer. And there's some pictures of those secure vestibules. So the plans for the high school, this is for the high school, which is one of the simpler things that we're going to do. This is the main entrance to the school. those doors are going to be replaced because they are rusting through. So we want to, and the mullions are also rusting through.
What's a mullion like?
A mullion is where the door frame, when it comes down at the very bottom of the door, that's the door frame, and the mullion is the anytime that there's something goes down the middle where two doors come in, where those two doors connect. So those will be replaced. The stairs, right now, the stairs meet at almost the very, very top of the stairs. So there will be a new staircase built over the existing staircase. It will just be moved closer to the entrance. So there'll just be a new staircase in order to make a larger landing area. And then the vestibule wall, new glass doors will be placed in this space right here. Of course, along with this, there's going to be access control. You know, we have what's called an A-phone. So when somebody approaches the door, they press the button. It calls in to the greeter's desk, but also to the office. And people have to be allowed access into the building. That the person at the greeter's desk or in the office then presses a button, allows access into the vestibule. Once the people reach the top of the vestibule and they're met with closed doors again, the greeter can either buzz them through to talk to them, or if the greeter isn't there, then they press a second button that goes into the office, and then they would be allowed access into the building to be greeted in this area. So at all times, there'll be 1, 2 stops for people entering the building.
What office?
Times that the greeter's desk is ever unoccupied, that would only be, you know, after school, before school. Very rarely is that area unoccupied. Besides all of that, we will be replacing, as you know, the carpet in that area is in pretty bad shape. So we are going to replace the carpet with tile. We're going to be using the luxury vinyl tile, and that will stretch all the way from the north gym all the way down to the library. We'll replace that entire hall with that luxury vinyl tile instead of that tattered carpet, which is so hard to clean, and even after you clean it, old stains just rise right back to the surface. Are there other questions about the high school? That's actually a pretty simple one. I know moving the stairs or building new stairs seems difficult, but it's actually a pretty easy deal when it comes to.
And this might seem like a silly question, but let's say, I know that everything's about keeping from people from coming in. If there's a fire, does it all just open the other way so people can get out?
Yeah. So like on these doors, there are push bars. They would just have push bars out and exit the building.
I'm just saying, there's just more stops, so I want to make sure that it's fluid and still safe.
Absolutely, it's fire code that there's egress out of the building.
Okay.
And that was not a silly question. Other questions, though? Kratz is a little bit more involved. So this is the entire thing, and then I'll break it down a little bit smaller here in a second. The existing entrance, the main entrance is in this area. And if you're familiar with Kratz, the far south end, if you're looking at the front of the building, the far, far left end is this entrance down here. So.
Big tree.
That's gonna be new.
I'm
By
sorry.
the big tree.
By the big tree, correct. So the existing entrance, if you're familiar with Kratz, if you're allowed in, they have an A-phone, the office professionals will allow people in, but they are in this office and they just have to trust that people are going to come in, go up the stairs, come around and go into the office. Because there's a stairway up and a stairway down. Iveland used to be like that. A lot of schools back in the day, they were built like that because the safety and security that's important to us now wasn't as much of a need back then. But you know, it really does present a security concern for people just to be able to go anywhere they want when they're allowed into the building. So the office is gonna be flip-flop. Currently, this is the main office, and currently, this is the teacher's lounge. So we're gonna flip-flop it and do some other renovations as well. While I have this picture pulled up, you'll see that we're going to make it so that there's a passageway in between the new office and the new teacher's lounge. So they'll be able to pass directly through. Go a little bit more into detail so you can see, so just taking a section. So this would be the main entrance, again with an A phone. Office professionals will be able to talk to the person that's outside just as they can now. They'll be allowed access into a vestibule. This will be the new wall, new door that would secure them within this vestibule. This, it would be the new door into the office. This right now is a glazed block wall, and so that will be removed. These will be windows so that the office professionals can see into the hallway or into the vestibule. This door would be locked at all times, and the office professionals would be able to talk to them and then press a button to allow access into the office. So once people get into the vestibule, they don't have free access to go into the office. They would have to be buzzed into the office. That's the way Wyland is now.
I remember that the nurse's office was like in that area. How are you gonna like lock the nurse's office?
I'll show you in a second. So, so anyway, you have the vestibule, the new door into the office. Here's the general office. This is one of the principal's offices. And then a door, this is the current door to the teacher's lounge, and then they can get out, you can go out into the hallway this way. So teachers will have badge access to this door, so teachers could buzz in here, buzz in there, and just go on into the building. And then there will also be a buzzer inside the office where the office professional can also buzz into these. So they can buzz these doors open and they can buzz this door open. This is an existing restroom that will remain. And then this is the beginning of a corridor that will go back over into the new teacher's lounge. This will be a new supply closet. Existing nurse's office is right in this area. So to create that passageway, the nurse's office is going to be moved to this office here. Existing restroom, all we have to do is block off the existing door, add a door to the other side. This is an existing vestibule into what is now an office, assistant principal's office, workroom. This is actually existing right now. On this side, again, this is that vestibule. These are existing offices. They will remain as is. This is an existing workroom. It will remain mostly as is, except to add a nursing room in this area right here. The current nursing room is in the current teacher's lounge. Continue over this direction. This is an existing restroom. That restroom will be expanded so that it's ADA accessible. A new sink and counter will be placed here since this is the new teacher's lounge. It's a lot to take in. It's going to be quite a bit of work. Of course, the flooring is all going to be redone in the entire office.
And board members, why this is coming to you now as a report is timelines. Do you want to talk timelines before we go on to the next?
I can, yeah. So right now, all of these drawings are out to bid. Today, I went on a tour with 4 general contractors to tour the spaces so that they could see them, so that they could get all the information they need in order to make bids. Bids are going to be accepted on December 21st. Wanted to make sure that you had this information now because I plan on making a recommendation in January, January 14th. And since we don't have a work session, I wanted to give you the opportunity to see of what I'll be presenting on the 14th ahead of time so that a lot of the detailed information is answered before I come with costs. Give you some time to kind of let it sink in.
Which are all part of progress.
All part of progress, that's correct.
I do have a question on that space between that last counselor's office and the teacher's lounge. Is there a wall there, or is that just open space?
Right here?
No, along that, like up where the red box is and then coming down. So, yeah, is there a wall in between that space and the counselor's office or anything?
In this area, there's currently none.
Do we have our other teachers' lounge like that? So I'm assuming like students will be coming in the counselor's office, correct?
That is correct. What we can do is, that's a really good point, what we can do is maybe see if we can move the door down on this end. Or like you may have suggested, extend this just a little bit further. So the corridor continues down just a little bit further.
So the entrance that Kratz has right now, that's going to be changed, will it still be a doorway that you can exit from?
Absolutely. And enter from, I mean, when students are unloading from the buses, it will still be a student entrance, it just won't be the main entrance for when there are visitors to the office. So students would still be able to use that entrance, anybody could. It would still be able to badge into that. I'm sorry, before I move on from Kratz, do you have other questions about Kratz? And then the administrative center, this is currently the accessible ramp, the ADA accessible ramp going up the front. If you've noticed, there's a lot of concrete work that needs to occur to that ramp. The rails are rusting at the bottom. There's some places where the rails aren't even connected anymore to the base. To either patch or completely replace the surface. So there's an alternate to completely replace the entire surface, but the bid would be to patch or, like I said, replace. This is the existing entrance door. Once people enter, are allowed access inside, they have to buzz in just like other schools, and that's how it works now. Once they buzz in, they'll be inside of a vestibule in this area here. So again, another set of doors. This is the receptionist desk. This will be glass, and it will be just like the other glass that we have on secure entrances with a shatter-resistant glass. And there'll be a transaction window here. So the receptionist would be able to talk to the people, see why they are there, have them sign in, and then either have them wait or buzz them in for access into the remainder of the building. The receptionist has a door to come out into the workroom, and then also out into this vestibule, and then there's another exit, as you know, in the hallway at this end. So secure vestibule, buzzed in, and just a new arrangement for the receptionist. Any questions about the administrative center?
I'm not following what this is at the bottom.
Down here, this is the ramp. So as you're coming up from the parking lot, there's that ramp that goes around. There's a flower bed here, and so that's that ramp that comes up. And the concrete's just in really, really bad shape, as well as the handrails.
And so that ramp's going to be replaced, or?
Not the entire ramp. The surface. There's the bid is to patch it, to patch the damage, and then there's an alternate to replace the top surface and replace the entire top surface.
So it's still going to be the same shape?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're not tearing the entire thing off. It's going to be a patch job or a complete repair job, but it won't be a replacement. Other questions about that? Again, like I said, so documents are out for bid right now. Bids are due on the 21st. And once pricing is available, I'll be sure that I share that information. Plan on making a recommendation in January. And then, so you know, plans for the secure entrances at Haight, Beaver, and Marvin are going to go out as soon as they are prepared. They're very, very close. We expect to be able to make a recommendation in February on those. So, and once that is done, all of the buildings will have those vestibules. And just from talking to teachers when I go and do presentations about safety at the schools that have those vestibules, the teachers are very, very appreciative of having those. The schools that don't have them are always saying, when are we getting one? So it's nice to be able to get this underway, and then the goal is to finish all of these this summer. Other questions?
With all those, the coverings are going on the glass too, correct?
That is correct. So the outside has a covering, so anything new on the outside will be replaced. On the inside of the vestibule, all of that glass is also going to have security film on it.
And with Pratt's, I know that this is about the secure entrances, but we had talked about a covered entryway. Is that going to be a part of that at all?
It won't be a part of this, but that is coming as well. So entryways, bus canopies, that we talk about Iowa, Kratz, Booter, Haight, so there's several schools that need a bus canopy. That will be a part of this, but that will be coming out soon as well.
And the other question, it's terrible that I have to even think to ask this question, but I would assume that any of the glass that's in the entryway and in the offices, it's all like a bulletproof type glass or something.
Shattered. It is tempered, yes, absolutely.
Tempered glass so that it's pretty tough,
So,
I mean, it's not going to withstand anything, but,
So it's tempered glass, okay, but we also have a security film on it that adds to, so if somebody kicks it or shoots it, right now, before we had that, it would just shoot in, and completely shatter, and people would have access. Now, it has that film on there where the window doesn't just completely shatter. It has a 3 to 7 minute time period. Somebody had to get into that area. And since we have such a quick response time from police, hopefully the bad guy would just still be at the front door.
Yeah, it's horrible the schools have to think of these things, but,
Right.
they do.
100%. Other questions?
Thank you. We will move on to 5.4, our Shapers Arena contract. Mr. Nicholson.
So graduation ceremonies for 2024 will be on June 1st. That's the Saturday after Memorial Day. That is the traditional day for Ritenour graduations. And we've reserved the Chaffetz Arena as well as the practice courts for graduation staging. Last year, the Board of Education approved extending our contract with Chaffetz for the class of 2025. And that graduation is on Saturday, May 31st, 2025. And in order to reserve this venue for the class of 2026, I'm requesting that the board allow us to hold the date of Saturday, May 30th, 2026. That's the Saturday immediately following Memorial Day.
No questions? I'll ask. I'd like to make a recommendation that we reserve the date of Saturday, May 30th, 2026, immediately following Memorial Day for our graduation. Extend our contracts.
I second. Mr. Wheaton?
Yes.
Dr. Allen Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mrs. Severny?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Move on to 5.5, our climate and engagement
Did you say there's a problem with PowerPoint?
No. Yes, it keeps popping up on our screen and I can't see it.
Our Word doc stuff is going on.
Oh, okay.
We're working through it. Yep.
So we're just going to do an overview of the climate engagement survey. And obviously our vision, mission, and equity statement all relate to how do we get input from students, faculty, staff, and community to know whether or not we're meeting the needs of our district as a whole. If you look at the climate survey respondents, it's optional for instructional staff, support staff, parents, and community. However, we try to get at least 80 to 85% of the students to complete the panorama survey so we can get a good view of who are those students and what might the needs be. And we do that survey multiple times per year. Instructional staff, support staff, and parents and community, typically one time per year. Looking at the Ritenour image, this is a question that we ask to the community. Would you recommend this district to other families? You can see we took a dip right around post-pandemic, but we're starting to go back up with about 58% of the families saying that they would recommend this school district to other families. Not where we want it to be, but it is going up and we hope to continue to see that go up. Looking at the school climate for students, this is, you want to look at these comparisons based on national trends. And looking at the climate overall for elementary, our elementary falls nationally in about the mid-range with the amount of students who feel to answer positively to climate engagement, relationships, and sense of belonging. However, at the middle and high, we're at one of the lowest levels nationally down on the end. So this tells us that these are big opportunities for all areas, but particularly for the secondary level. And looking for an example for that engagement overall, that's asking about participation in class. Would they look forward to coming to that class again? Are they engaged in that class? Do they like to participate in the class? And so looking at, for example, engagement at the middle school level, only 27% of the students answered favorably. School climate for staff. About overall, if you look at instructional support, it's about 76% of the staff enjoy working at a school building that they're in. It varies according to building that they're in and what might be going on in that particular building. There are a lot of factors that come into play when you do a climate survey, time of year, whether or not there have been a lot of changes made in the building. Is there new administration? How well are you working together with the teammates you have? A lot of those come into play, and this is something that we do want to look at, because if we see patterns where in a particular building it keeps going down year after year, we have to start questioning what is happening with the climate there. The positive culture for staff and students at about 50%, that's an area where we look at, again, building by building, and at the elementary level, one building went up for positive culture, two stayed the same, but overall across the district, that one went down with the teachers, instructional staff looking at how do they view a positive culture for staff and students. So again, that's an area of opportunity. When you look at student well-being, this is students rating themselves. How well do they feel they are within the past week? So it's really looking at a week to week. How do you feel? Have you had positive emotions? How have you handled challenging feelings? And the emotional regulation piece. This flips from the other one that I showed you with middle and high being towards the middle nationally, and elementary being an area where we need to really work on some of those emotional regulation feelings and how do you handle challenging feelings. That is something I will tell you that we see, we've seen more of in the past several years, students being able to have some of the skills, particularly at the elementary level, on how do I handle myself if I'm frustrated, if I'm dysregulated. So that is something that we would need to continue to look at. And again, if we see a particular grade level or building, what counseling lessons, what supports are we putting in place? Safety and security, this is with parents and staff. Really little to no change, but again, areas where you really want to dig into this, because not feeling safe at school is going to have an overall effect on attendance, positive feelings about coming to work, positive feelings about teaching students. So safety is always a high priority, and unless we get about 100% of our students and staff saying they feel safe at school, that's an area we're going to have to continue to work on. This looks at the evaluating supervisor principal, and if you remember, about 76% of staff feel like they're comfortable. To see only 34% of secondary students feel they belong in their school. This is one we hear about a lot, and I think we see it, and we've been seeing it more over the years, that feeling stressed at work. So about 72% of the instructional staff feel stressed at work. Agree to strongly agree most of the time. Again, we want to make sure our students are feeling regulated, but we also need to make sure that the adults in the classroom are feeling regulated and able to teach.
So in terms of, I appreciate Julie, thank you this evening. My voice is slowly going throughout the day, but in communication, in terms of the communication in the district, we saw a 7% increase among parents of being informed about their child's progress at school. We remain the same with the instructional support staff in terms of like how well do they feel informed. Looking at deeper into the survey data, it shows that our weekly newsletter, or now it will be a bi-weekly newsletter that we send out to staff, is very much like that's the reason why staff feels like that. And now we're able to, we use a new format, and so we used to just send out it as an email. Now we use a format where we can track the data, and we can see about 80 to 85% of staff open the staff newsletter. So it's very good for us. We can track the links and everything like that. So it's been really good for us in terms of like our ability to to be able to see and take a little bit of a deeper dive into the data. And parents saw just a slight increase in how well they are informed. The interesting one, I received messages from in my language. The survey this year was sent out, the same survey, but it was in English and Spanish. And so families responded, 96% of people responded that they did receive the messages from in their language. The primary source of information continues to be like interpersonal communication from students and staff. One that really surprised us, and it's been a great, huge bump in the Inside Ritenour e-newsletter. And so that's been really great for us in terms of that. Michelle Mueller and our team was very excited about that. But once again, that interpersonal communication is so important. And you can see at the very bottom that news at work, the staff update, 80% of staff say that that's where they get the majority of their information. We asked some questions this year about the website, because we're redoing the website and we're relaunching the website in the spring. So we just wanted to find out how often people visited the website. Looks like weekly or occasionally. So really, the website is a tool for us to be able to store information and to be able to allow just keep information that families could need to find there. So taking a look at what families are looking for, really the most important things for them are the school and district calendar, school notifications, breakfast and lunch menus, really what all the data shows in the past is what we were anticipating. We just wanted to retest that with the community to see what their responses were. In terms of the website and social media, this one was really surprising to me, but I'm not sure why. 81.5% of people that access our website and social media do it on their smartphone. And so from a communication standpoint, what that tells us is, number one, we need to make sure that we're communicating with people in a way that they can view it and access it on their smartphones. And so the design that we're working on for the website is absolutely mobile friendly. We're able to see previews of what the mobile view is going to look like, as well, and just making sure that we're reaching people where they are. And obviously right now that's on their smartphone. In terms of the website and social media, this is another one that we just wanted to test to find out where people were. Now, keep in mind also this is the data is a little bit interesting because we paid for some ads on Facebook and Instagram to get this data. So you'll have to take this data for what it's worth in terms of what it looks like. And so Facebook and Instagram were the top among staff and community members. A surprising number, like almost 15% say no social media at all, which is actually really surprising among staff. But some, like about 15% of our staff and about 16% of our families don't have any access to social media. Taking a look at the demographics from the community survey, just how long people have lived in the district, the majority of people have lived in the district 0 to 10 years. And 54.1% did not graduate from the district, so about 45. So that number has been steadily declining in terms of like the members of households that have been with their graduates.
Okay, and looking at the next steps with the climate survey is district administrative team has already reviewed it. We read through all of the comments, we looked at all of the data, we talked about some next steps. It was presenting to building level administrators and obviously the Board of Education. But they are to go back to their buildings, work with their school leadership teams, and make sure the data is being shared with staff. What we want to do is make sure the staff knows that we are looking at this data, we're using this data, and we're not just asking you to fill out something just to fill out something. So if we're not going to use it, then we shouldn't do it, because we need to look at it from year to year. Questions?
I will say one of the common themes of presentations typically that I see at board conferences, whether it's MSBA, NSBA, is around culture and climate of school districts. So when we're looking at our schools creating those action plans as it pertains to their results, I'm assuming that they're also looking at the retro data as well to be able to see, like, we implemented X, Y, and Z previous years. Did that work? Or should we be doing something different? Are we getting that deep in this process, or is it more so just like,
I think it depends on the building, Lisa, and I think you know, what are certain areas. That's one of the questions we had with the building administrators. What surprises you and why would that surprise you? What things did you put in place last year that might cause something to go up or cause it to go down? And so, did you make some people mad? And sometimes it's okay to make some people mad if it's for the good and right reason and they understand. But if you made them mad and they don't understand why you're making a change, then that might be showing on your communication. So what do you need to do to be a better communicator? I don't know if I'm answering your question.
yes.
I don't know what they do when they go back to their building and share it with their teams, but they should be looking at that. Other questions? No? All right.
I guess real quick, I'm sorry. So I guess, like, you know, I'm looking at the safety and security, and I feel like are we putting any plans behind this? Like, how do we make sure that people will feel safe, or, you know what I mean? Like,
You actually did talk about this with a friend. Can we advertise more that we're investigating stuff? Because there was apparently a shooting threat written on a bathroom wall. And this happened after our meeting, so I didn't know about it, otherwise I would have reported it too. And it said, I'm going to shoot up the school on December 15th. And no one announced that they were investigating it until recently. And so a friend was like, I wish they said something sooner so I could feel more safe. So if we could announce that we are investigating, like make it more widely known, because sometimes the students feel like they're not being heard when they are like, we don't feel safe here.
And I will say that's always a challenge, because sometimes we get things and we are investigating. You don't want to put out something too soon, because you also don't want to scare people if it's not necessary to scare people. Okay.
Any questions?
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. 5.6, our student information system, and this is Julie Hahn and Dr. Fred Harlan.
I was going to do this one, okay, Griffin.
So last week, board members, you'll recall that Julie and I brought to your attention the district's efforts to respond to the end of Tyler and to find a replacement. We formed a committee and met to review the applications that the vendors who responded to our RFP. And as we mentioned to you in our work session last week, the committee landed on the Power School application. And so I come back to you this evening to make a recommendation that we purchase PowerSchool as our new student information system and data warehouse at the initial cost of $240,680.99. Are there any questions?
So the yearly cost after that will be the 146?
Correct.
Such and such?
Yes.
And I'm assuming that they would probably come back to us year every year, or how long is that for?
I'm sorry.
So it's 146,941.
That would be the recurring cost until they raise that price for, annual.
Okay. So how long are we kind of locked into that? Is it just the 1 year?
1 year.
And assuming that they don't do a multiple year discount or anything for contracts?
I don't believe so. Julie, did
No,
you?
they did not. And just for the sake of the, I know we had discussed everything last week, but this does meet all of the needs for our needs that we have in the district as far as with student data, health needs.
This will support the important element of state reporting, attendance, discipline. We will have social and emotional.
Medical registration.
Medical registration.
Parent portal.
Parent portal.
Data warehouse.
The data warehouse, right. And we will have Empower operating in conjunction with PowerSchool, and the two will share information.
No more questions, just looking for a motion.
Absolutely. Let's make the motion to approve the PowerSchool Student Information System and Data Warehouse at an initial cost of $240,680.99.
Second. Mrs. Lois?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Eden?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will move on to 5.7, personnel recommendations. Dr. Michael Jennings.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
I'm here to present items 1 through 118. I'm open to any questions you may have and ultimately asking for your approval.
1, 3, and 4 are what activities are those?
The coach, dance team.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
If we're ready to vote, I need to have number 22 out, the first vote, because I need to abstain.
Yeah, we'll need number 50 out too.
So 22 and 50?
So I can go ahead.
I make a motion that we accept personnel recommendations, item number 1 through 118, with the exception of number 22 and number 15.
Second?
Mr. Eden?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gardner?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawrence?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept items number 22 and number 50. Oh, wait, sorry. Yep, I just realized that. Number 22.
Second?
Mrs. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mrs. Gardner?
Abstain?
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Eden?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept item number 50.
Second?
Mrs. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mrs. Gardner?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Eden?
Abstain.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
Can I ask you just a real quick question on 2 and 4? Is there somebody there for them?
There for the,
Was that the numbers? I'm sorry. Or did I get the numbers wrong?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry, 3
number-
and 5.
not that I'm aware of, no.
So is that posted?
So we're working with the activities office to try to identify. I don't know off the top of my head if it's posted, this was a senior that we stopped putting out practices. So.
I was just asking.
Yeah, I can check on that though.
So, thank you. All right. We are moving on to 5.8, board member comments.
Sunday is our day that we're bringing together our Twas the Night Before Christmas stuff. So we'll be at New Horizons in the back at 5 o'clock to put the bags together. I'm still looking for like snacks and things like that if anybody wants to bring anything like that. So, and I try to stay away from nuts and peanut butter if you can.
What's the time on that?
5 o'clock. And of course, still looking for toys, always. I always like to have an abundance, so that way we can adjust based on the kids that we have there.
I did want to, two things. One, for the November 13th, when the city of Overland and the local agencies came together to recognize Melvin Meyer, got opportunity to go to that. Dr. Thomas was there as well. I think they done an excellent job in recognizing in the ceremony. Our Ritenour High JROTC got to participate, so that was a good opportunity for them too. But it also was a learning opportunity to learn more about the local VFW and the work that they do in the community. And there were some intentional conversations had that where we can find ways to partner with them, even for our students. So that information was shared with Dr. Kilbride and Dr. Green, so hopefully to see some ways that we can partner, especially because it has scholarship money, but also volunteer opportunities for our students. So that, to me, was kind of a win-win all around. The other piece, too, is a couple of our Ritenour graduates have started an app called Connect, and it is an app that allows you to keep current Ritenour students connected to Ritenour graduates that are, whether professionals, careers, so they can connect via this app and learn more about each other in different careers. And actually, they're working with the Pride and Promise Foundation. Brad and I had the opportunity to connect with the individuals, the graduates, and they have one question that they would like to know more about. If there were any opportunities to be able to support the district more with technology. So that's something that you all can think about. We can get back with them and let them know. I know Dr. Kilbright works really closely with the two of them. It's two
Yeah,
most
the third,
recent, and
yeah.
it's the third one that's actually at MasterCard, Jennifer. So, who is it?
And Carol.
But he does a lot of mentoring for students that are going into tech. Sounds familiar. Yes. So if y'all think of anything, then please let us know. But they're looking for ways to continue to grow the program that they started thus far. Anybody have anything else?
Would they be interested in having like that information put out onto the Ritenour website as like kind of a link to get to?
You mean their app?
Like, yeah, like a link to their app, like a little notice of it?
I mean, they probably could. They kind of control it.
Yeah, I'll talk with Fortuna. When I talked to him today, he actually took a meeting with Maxine Clark. And so he's getting some, FaceTime with some people that can really help Fortuna and Cody.
But I mean,
and
I'm saying, like, for Doug to put it out onto our website, that there's that connection there.
So one of the things, you always have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. One of the first thing we talked to them about is liability. So that'll be a conversation I'll have with Doug about putting it out there on the district website. So the role of funneling people into that platform, I just want to check with Doug and think through the liability of that.
comments, we will move on to the consent agenda items.
I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.6 as recommended.
Second.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Garden?
Yes.
Dr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
I'd like to motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mrs. Levis?
Yes.
Mrs. Garden?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you.